Okay, well, let's throw it open to your... We'll take questions on Lee. You're on that side first, since you happen to be on that side. So we'll try and stop Lee from having to run about. Let me say, nothing about Brexit, please, and even less about Iceland, and I'm not talking about the supermarket. So no moans about, the Tellball service. I mean, I actually took the Thameslink here today, and I took a train that was 25 minutes earlier than I wanted to take because, rightly, I guessed it was going to be late, and it was. It was 15 minutes late, so I got here on time, but only because I took an earlier train. But no moans about, this is not what it's about. It's about Crossrail 2 and your thoughts for it. So, over to you. Questions to the panel or points or whatever. There's a lady there.
Right here.
We'll take about 4 or 5 points and then throw things over to the panel.
Okay. I would first like to congratulate the Streatham Action group for getting such a distinguished panel to discuss the Crossrail 2 problem in Streatham. My question is, this is the third meeting we've had so far about Crossrail 2, and never once have I seen our MP Chucker on the board. So I'm wondering, has he any interest at all that the CR2 comes to Streatham?
Right. Okay. Well, maybe Florence might want to address that later. But
Next question.
No, not now. Not now. We'll take some more questions.
Next question.
We'll take some more questions. Yeah. There's one down here. Oh, okay. One down here.
Hi, I'm Fred Daly. I live in Streatham Hill. I agree with all these points. It's always been going on. But isn't also the question of moral situation on this should also be included? I mean, we've been waiting since 1926. Yeah? Where new stations are added to existing stations. You know, people like Balham and the overground running to the same stations. Now, all this is funded by taxpayers. So isn't it morally right that as Streatham people pay the taxes exactly like the rest of London, we should get our share of a station? How can we carry on subsidizing all other stations and we never get it? We're left behind. This is like Catch-22. To improve an area, do you open a classic restaurant first and then the people come, or do the classic people come and then you open the restaurant? I mean, we are let down continuously, and we really should, and I think the whole of Streatham should strike out and do something really seriously about it.
Okay, well, that's what we're doing. Right, okay. There's a lady back there. Lady out there.
Hi, good evening. I'm Chantel. I just wanted to give everybody my recent experience. I moved from Balham from rental. I couldn't afford a property in Balham, so moved to Streatham. My first experience of the overground was so horrific that my partner here very kindly drives me to Brixton every morning, where I get on the tube, which points to your earlier point about the model, how inaccurate it actually is. It's far quicker for me to get in the car, drive to Brixton, and get the tube to Victoria. I confronted a chap on the CR2 panel and raised all of my concerns and queries, along with the fact that we have a lot of festivals happening here, and so on and so forth. I'm on a timer here. I've got 10 seconds left. My point is what more can we do in terms of producing them with accurate figures, because they're not going to do it themselves. Is there anything we can do to help them?
Okay. Yeah, tap there, yeah. And then we'll come around.
Hello, I've lived here for 5 years. I normally get the 6:06 train to City Thameslink. When I first started, I'd get the choice of any seat. These days, some days I end up standing. But that's by the by. Is the plan to bring South London Orange, is that a Trojan horse meant to placate us, do the panel think? Is it just something that's going to waste our time and divert our efforts and energies into going, oh yes, that would be quite nice, whereas we just miss out on this totally? That's what I've got.
Okay, one more point. There's a chap at the back there.
Hi everybody, my name is Clive Bennett. I'm a former mayor for Lambeth. We now have a mayor for all London. And I want to say thank you very much indeed for the panel to bringing it to our notice that he is committed to delivering alongside Val Shawcroft. My question is, bearing in mind we have a lot of young, aspirational people who have decided to put their time, money and energy into Streatham, we don't want to let them down again. We've let them down too many times. We need to deliver this one. So who is leading to get the Mayor of London kicking and screaming alongside Val Shawcroft to deliver this project? And well, he won't be here. He's got other things to do and other things on his mind, and Streatham is the least of all those, I do assure you. The question was about the turning it orange. One last thing, turning Streatham orange is nonsense on stilts.
Right, okay, shall we take in Flo? Do you want to start? Taking some of these points.
Good to see you, ex-Councillor Bennett. How are you?
I am delighted to see you.
That's good. Thank you.
Enough of this.
In terms, obviously, I'm not. That's fine. I'm not going to speak for Cllr, but what I would say is that it's, I think some of the criticisms tonight are a little bit unfair. Like I said, I'm not here to speak for Cllr, but just 3 weeks ago, I was out with Cllr and the local councillors actually with Network Rail at Streatham Station, looking at how we can get the investment for access for all there. Again, I'll put that question back to Streatham Action in terms of whether they contacted Cllr, in terms of obviously there'll be diary commitments that from time to time there will be clashes. Even tonight for this meeting, I rearranged something so that I could come because I saw how important it was. But equally, I know that with MPs, their diaries are booked from time. But to say that he's not interested, that I don't think that's true. I know that there is regular communication that we're having with Cllr, so we will bring this to his attention again. And I'm sure, I'll relay back that Streatham Action are keen to meet with him on that. On some of the other points, in terms of what you mentioned, South London line going orange, and the fact that the current services that you get from Southern is just not acceptable. I've publicly called for them to be stripped of that franchise. For me, I think 2021 is too long. I'd be seeking for us to say, actually, let's bring that. Is there a way we can bring that forward? I think that would help in the interim in terms of improving the service you as Streatham residents receive. Just a point of clarification on your slides, Jane. You said that, by the time the Southern franchise is up, Crossrail 2 would have started. Crossrail 2 is scheduled for 2030. On your slide, you had that.
No, I've said that we wouldn't begin to get improvements until 2021, so we'd be among the last of the franchise areas to receive improvements, whereas Crossrail 2, I believe, is scheduled to start around 2030.
Yeah.
So we would be looking at beyond that time, before Streatham got any realistic improvements, if we started in 2021. So sorry if that was confusing.
Then, yeah.
All right.
Okay. I'll come back on
Neil,
something.
you got?
Yes, please. Thank you, Christian. So very quickly on Cllr Amuna, on what Streatham Action did. Of course, we approached Cllr. He is very rarely available on any evening other than a Thursday evening, and he did have another commitment tonight. What I am told incessantly by various people is that for something like Crossrail 2, it is actually beyond the realms of the sitting MPs. It is the London Assembly members lobbying the mayor, and that, as I said in my opening remarks, is why it's so useful we've got 3 of them here with us tonight on the panel. So moving on to what we are doing in that regard to get the ear of Sadiq Khan, who, after all, lives about 500 yards away from here, just in Fursdown Ward in Wandsworth, and he uses Streatham Common Station from time to time, so he must know directly himself what the problems are. So we were given the cold shoulder by Crossrail 2 back in February, as Jane said. David Joyce, who was in our delegation, threw the killer question at Crossrail 2 at the end of the meeting: what will make you assess Streatham? And it is only if the new mayor requires them to do it. It is the new mayor who absolutely is in control of Crossrail 2. So we have to get to the mayor. We have to get to the mayor via Val Shawcross, his appointed deputy mayor for transport. And I can't get to Val directly. Believe you me, I've tried. Val will only listen to the members of the London Assembly, who, most importantly, are on her transport committee, which is why Caroline is so vitally important to get behind us. But rest assured, I and 1 or 2 others will go to any meeting that Caroline can secure for us with the mayor. Final point, how we get the figures, the access to the numbers. Simon has been in email correspondence with me just this afternoon, the transport manager of Lambeth, and he has already asked for those figures from TfL, Oyster card, entrances and exit figures. We have the capacity to analyse those for ourselves if they won't analyse them. We can do the work ourselves.
Caroline, it's all down to you.
No, gosh, if only. No, I mean, I think what's really important is, I think there is a moral case here, actually. South London, as I say, I'm a South Londoner myself, has lost out too many times. And it's really, really important that we do get the investment in transport in areas such as Streatham. But I think actually the case, coming strongly from Florence, myself and Sian to Val to try and seek a meeting on it, I think probably is a good way forward to try to discuss this further and get it back on the agenda. Because if, as my understanding is, and quite rightly, a new mayor's come in and has asked virtually for everything to be reviewed, not only in terms of how much funding's going into it, but is every project TfL is working on something this mayor is committed to? And that's reasonable. A new administration comes in. Well, surely looking at all the options for Crossrail 2 must be part of that. And that gives us this opportunity. So I think the next few months are crucial. So I think I'm hoping to work with us to try and secure that meeting with Val. And, I will be fair to her. She's inundated. I know, taking on a role like this, everyone wants to meet her. Everyone's trying to discuss stuff. But this is absolutely time critical. I also think there's this issue of turning, whether we call it turning South London orange, the issue of improving the franchises and the train services that we all experience day in, day out. I think it's not either or. And it just reminds me of the big campaign we had a few years ago at Denmark Hill Station, where we had the South London line that ran from London Bridge to Victoria, and we were getting the overground as well. We didn't realise that was in place of the South London line. So you were being given with one hand and taken away by the other. And I think we've really got to make sure actually we need both of these if we can secure them for Streatham, because you've seen the growth in population. Your presentation was superb, very, very clear. And I think our job now is to secure that meeting with Val and TfL, and to then look at whether we can get them to give us the figures, to redo their modelling, and to see if we can make the clear case for Streatham.
Thank you. I'm a little bit concerned about the tone of this meeting when it actually comes to turning South London orange. I don't think we should use this as a platform to denigrate the devolution of the rail services. They have to run in a parallel, Crossrail 2 and the devolution. As I said in my introduction, we must make sure that we get the best deal in the devolution scheme. It is, in my book, a reality. TfL has made a commitment to it, And it will be very dangerous for us not to grab the opportunity and make demands to ensure that we have the best possible service on the overground in this location. So please, we need to do both. They will complement each other. I really enjoyed the presentation, and thank you very much. What I would like to see, however, is a more detailed analysis of what the transport or the actual stress relating to the rail services would look like should the devolution take a place. Because I can assure you, TfL are likely to come back and say, a Crossrail doesn't actually matter because you're going to have your railways are going to turn orange. So that will actually solve the problem. And we need to hit home the fact that no, it doesn't. It does alleviate some of the stress, but it will not resolve the transport problems that we actually have, and it certainly will not increase the it won't increase the actual regeneration or the likelihood of regeneration that we need in this part of the south.
Can I just say something about the orange? I agree with you about the orange. We should certainly support it. But my sources close to TfL tell me that the Department for Transport is being very difficult about this. They don't like the idea of losing control of quite a large chunk of their railway lines, and so they are giving the people in charge of this negotiation a hard time. So I think it would be very mistaken for your meeting to go very much against this, this TfL. I mean, basically the idea is that TfL Overground will take over some of these services and improve them, and I think that should be supported.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the points that I just wanted to emphasise, which I think was really important from the presentation, is around, I think, everyone collectively pressing TfL to do more analysis around the kind of cost and benefits of bringing Crossrail 2 to Streatham. When we met back in February, I was quite struck by the fact that the Crossrail 2 team, in preparation for the meeting, had looked at what the costs of bringing the line to Streatham would be in terms of financial cost, and indeed the cost to journey times from commuters from Surrey, because they did make the point it would add 5 minutes to their journey times. But I was very frustrated that they hadn't looked at the benefits of bringing Crossrail 2 to Streatham, as you'd expect with any cost-benefit analysis, and actually really get them to look at, well, what does it do for journey times from the hinterlands of Streatham? What does it do for people who no longer need to go into Brixton? What does that mean for alleviating overcrowding at Brixton Station? We want them to look at all of these things, and I do think it's very important that we follow up on that point and really expect more analysis to be done. And the other question for me, I think I'm probably the only non-politician on the panel, but if I can say two things. We now have a Mayor of London who doesn't support Heathrow Airport for the extra runway capacity. We may well have a Prime Minister who doesn't support Heathrow Airport. What does that then mean? It means Gatwick is likely to be more likely as an option, and I do think that we should also be looking for a really joined up transport solution, because clearly this area is on that corridor to Gatwick, and I think we should keep our eye on the airport question as well, because I think suddenly we might have a much stronger argument if Gatwick is chosen.
Well, there's lots of things to cover. I'll be as quick as I can. The presentation was amazing, and there's so much in there and so much to work on, so many new bits of data, more data's coming. You are only asking for Sadiq Khan to get his team to look at this again, and his team are transport planners. They love this kind of thing. It's their job. Why wouldn't they want to take all this juicy new data and work out the business plan? So I don't think it's that difficult. So there were lots of points raised, and I think is it Fred at the front there raised the point about you keep losing out again and again and again. And that can be, when it comes to transport investment, a really bad thing, a thing that, a vicious circle, actually, of making the case. Because it's always, when you're doing your transport calculations, lots of people saving a tiny amount of time is the same value as a few people saving lots of time. And what you've got here is a few people saving lots of time, but because lots of people are using the stations now, but nothing in compared to the tube, you've got lower numbers, but that just gets worse and worse and worse the more you carry on. So I think it is unfair, and I think just on the sort of moral case, this area needs new connections, and that is of benefit in itself. And I think we do, the Transport Committee is important, the transport benefits are important, but I think also the wider economic benefits need more attention. And I think on the London Assembly, we have my colleague Caroline Russell is on that committee as well. She's also on the Economy Committee, and I'm on the Housing Committee. And I think the London Assembly as a whole can be making a very rounded case for this area. And although the transport numbers are great and I love them, I would like a go at them myself. I think that those are also things we should be doing. And the same goes for Lambeth Council. I believe you've got is it Jack Hopkins, I've been told, is your transport. He's business and economy. So that's what I mean. That's what I mean. He should be making the case as well as you, and as well as your housing person as well. If you can do the same thing, it's definitely something you can do. In terms of things they might have ignored, I mean, if you can make a strong case for this, and you put it forward as a well-rounded alternative, they could be in real trouble when they go to try and get sort of planning permissions and make final decisions on going ahead with this, if they've completely ignored your option. You're miles away from this now, but just if you give them enough of a good thing to have to look at, and then they ignore it, they're being unreasonable. And there is a case for taking legal action at the end of that process. And no way you've got the case now. But I would say, you've got that to hold over them. They have no excuse, really, but to look at what you're talking about and look at it properly. Final thing I wanted to say, sorry, I've gone for ages. The one thing I'm interested to know whether it comes into the business case at all is relieving the roads, because I've just been looking up the numbers, and about 20% of people in Lambeth drive to work, and that doesn't sound very much, and Londoners don't drive to work very much, but it is more than most inner London boroughs. Certainly in the north of London, I'm in Camden, next door Islington, we're all around about 11% people driving to work. So again, if you can get more people using better train services, not driving to Brixton, as I think Chantal said at the back, that would be really good for the roads. And there's a strong load of numbers you can get from reducing road congestion too. So that's all.